Hello, everyone. My name is Roopa Sunku, and I'm with Touch a Life Foundation and TALRadio, bringing you an episode of Career Elevations. I have the proud privilege to introduce a very masterful and well-traveled foreign services personnel that I have been floored listening to his journey of. And this is none other than Gitesh Sarma. Welcome, Gitesh.
Thank you. Very happy to be on your show.
Absolutely. Often enough, we wonder how successful people got where they got. And today, I would ask you to share your journey with our listeners to be able to give them opportunities or pathways to consider for their own. So somebody who would like to travel and understand the different global ecosystems, I think should consider reviewing what Gitesh has accomplished. So let me ask you, what has been your educational background, Gitesh, to get to where you are? And we will then reveal what you have been doing for all of these years.
Thank you so much for the nice introduction. Let me be very candid with not only you, but the listeners, that I was not, I think, a naturally successful person, at least the way I began life. And I don't think I was all that special in terms of academics. And, in our times, we didn't have counselors, educational counselors in India the way we grew up. And you just saw what your neighbor was doing or your friend was doing. So I kept changing from this to that and moving around and never really successful in anything. I did attempt a bit of chemistry, zoology, did a bit of BSc, but ultimately I seemed to struggle a little there. So I came into humanities and I did political science and international relations. And again, I struggled because making the transition from science to humanities was challenging. And, in exams, you have to be very successful. It's not knowing as much, but at least in India, you have to be successful in terms of grades. And I didn't really figure it out until it was very, very late, but I did figure it out. And then it was a matter of just finding a suitable job. And again, I'll be very candid that I know that I didn't really think too deeply. And since I didn't have a great academic record, I thought, let me take the toughest exam in India, where people from all disciplines come. You have doctors, engineers, and people from every discipline, and they're competing for a coveted slot in the foreign services or the administrative service. So I said, let me give it to all. And one thing in my favor was I did work hard. I knew that I could work hard. I'm sorry to be saying this in this way, but I was very confident that if I put my mind to anything, I would succeed. And I think it did work out that way. And while on the track, I thought more about foreign service, and I began to like what it sounded like. I didn't know everything because I didn't know anybody who was serving in the foreign services, but I read about it and I talked to a few people, and then I got some ideas. So it was just a kind of do or die, and I do believe that hard work is everything. And man with a very modest background, but even I was confident enough to crack it, and that's what happened.
Amazing, amazing. I love the grit and the passion behind trying out something new and working and persevering through all your hurdles to be able to get to that optimal state of what is wonderful and what you like to do and what you would like to spend the rest of your life doing at large. Great. Fantastic. Let's go on to the next phase of your life. So where did your journey begin in the foreign services? And tell us a few of your narratives or leadership that you have shared till date.
Well, as part of training, I was admitted to Moscow State University. That itself was a very big kind of achievement because it was communism at the time. And I think the communist authorities did not want foreigners to mingle with their students. Somehow at the Gorbachev at times, they relented a bit, and we probed and we tried, and that was the best, clearly the best university in the entire country. So I was admitted to Moscow State University. I learned Russian like a student, and once I was operative, it was after that all the doors opened, and I must say that it was a wonderful experience there. And contrary to what I thought, very authoritarian, all, but they were very, very open to having a foreigner in their midst and teaching them. They must have monitored me very closely, and I spent about 2 years in Moscow working in the embassy. And at that time, things were going in certain direction, and a lot of troubles for Gorbachev, the leadership. And then I was offered an opportunity to be consul general in Ukraine, and I would have been the youngest consul general in our service at that time. I just done 2 years, and one thought was it's a very lonely spot, and going there all the way. Should I do it, or should I try for something more kind of coveted, like the Western locations that are standard with many people in India? But I said no, something is going to happen. I don't know what. So I just went with my instincts, and I had that kind of feeling that I could open doors, because I was able to talk without an interpreter. I had learned certain Russian cultural kind of habits. So the food and the way they dress, and so in a smaller town I could melt more easily. In a port town I could melt. So really, that my life began with that. And once the breakup happened in '91, then we were very short of Russian speakers. So I was sort of flogged relentlessly. I was sent all around. I did Belarus, I did Uzbekistan. In headquarters, I worked in Russia. So I became sort of a super specialist without wanting to be. But I didn't mind it really. Anything that you start learning, you like to take it to, a certain level where you're considered a specialist. So I did spend many years doing Russia, but then I diversified, trying other stuff also. I spent some time in Hong Kong and saw the handover when the Chinese took over. I was there. And so a bit of East Germany also I saw when the wall fell. So it started giving my career a little more rounded kind of appearance. That is not only a Russian speaker. It's a challenge in any kind of service or any kind of new job. If you over specialize too early, then sometimes it's difficult to accommodate you elsewhere. So for promotion purposes, you like to have a little wider kind of exposure. So you can be more easily accommodated in different locations in the organization. So I guess the rest of the career gave me a little more balance.
Wow. It is so amazing that you're able to speak about the different historical milestones that all of us have read. You've been part of the history. That's fantastic. As you talked about multiple doors opening up, I could almost picture a James Bond movie with the 007 opening up the doors and you entering the various opportunities. But what is so important for me to call out here, and that I noticed within your different pivots and your career path, is that you seized the opportunity. You kept conscious decision making in your own strengths to determine the next steps as you diversified from Russia to Germany to Hong Kong and so forth. What do you believe is the inspiration or the sponsors that you sought after in order to get this momentum to your career? Or did this all happen way too naturally for you?
I think there were people who inspired me. And your first boss is always a role model for you. Mm-hmm. And we had a legendary ambassador in Moscow. And if I can share a small anecdote, that on day number 1, I entered his room, rushing that there's a problem. And he said, get out of my room. And I just couldn't understand. I thought he's talking to someone else. He said, no, you get out. Then he said, look, you're new. So let me explain. If you come to the ambassador, it means there is a problem. Otherwise, why would you come? But when you come to ambassador, come with 3 solutions. I will choose a solution. So that sort of right in the beginning to get that kind of message, it was not comfortable in that room with somebody so senior and distinguished. He's the legendary kind of ambassador in our system. And then but ever since that, any issue, it's difficult for me to think there's no solution. When I look back, every time, I try to go around or some way to crack it. So it made me, I think, a little more positive in dealing with what's a situation which others might have thought impossible. So it had a great impact on me.
Fantastic, fantastic. That's such a great thought. You've shared two critical key learnings of your life that I hope to highlight here. First is you can do what you aim to achieve. Working hard is the second coveted thought process that you've shared with us. And the third one, never go with just the problem, go with solutions as well. So those are amazing. So let's kind of talk a little bit about your personal upbringing and your family influences. So as much as we have to have the sponsors at work and the mentors at work, you also have your family and your family structure that helps or persuades you to take on paths that you have achieved. So is there anybody in your life that has steered you to this direction?
It's difficult to pinpoint in that way, but I came from a middle class family, and I would say that in India, you could even say upper middle class. My father did civil service himself, so in that sense, I had some experience at home to see, and life was tough because for all the civil service work that he did, money was never enough. I even went to a boarding school, and even I studied in a college also for some time in a boarding. So as you grow older, particularly I suspect boys, but even girls, let's not discriminate. I won't discriminate. But at that time, it's difficult to take money from home or ask for money when your family is struggling, and so I think that was the one thing which kept me going. The thought that I did get a scholarship at one time, and I was so happy to write to my father that I don't need any money from you. And so, and I think, and he did say that, look, I'm a father, so why should I feel bad about it? But I said, no, but I just feel that I should tell you I don't need money. I repeated the sentence. So in that way, I think it's a pride, personal pride, that as you grow older, that you need to be on your own feet and not be dependent in a way that causes them trouble. So I think that is what kept me going.
Awesome. So if you were to reflect back on your journey and your career so far, what would be some of the things that you would remind people to repeat and make that successful quotient for themselves as well?
Well, I'm now in my 60s, and I met a lot of people, not only in India, but elsewhere, and not only in English-speaking countries, but in non-English-speaking countries as well. So, to be honest, I don't know what talent is, what intelligence is. I know hard work. There are people who say that I've achieved this, I never worked for it, but I find it difficult to believe, having myself reached a certain point in life. I know what the number of hours that went into this kind of so-called success, which some people find it inspiring. But I think hard work is everything. There must be some talent, intelligence, but I don't know really. And so I think if you set your mind on something, there's no halfway. It has to be full distance. You have to go in every way. And I used to tell myself that okay, if you work today and tomorrow you can enjoy. But when I reached the next point, then I again told myself the same thing. So I'm not sure whether I really, sort of let my hair down and enjoyed the way that I kept telling myself I would. Because once you reach a target, you have a next kind of goal ahead. So you tend to, your habits develop that way, that once you taste success, you'll never want to be second best, or you'll never want to fail. So it's something like that happened, that I started in a very modest way in life, in academic performance and all. And subsequently, when I saw the others, what I thought was more successful, then I must have felt that I need to prove to myself, not to anyone else, that
Mhm.
I'm as good, So it's something like that which kept me going.
Excellent. There's this concept of self-reflection to be able to propel and project your outer success and your inner senses. And you have truly depicted what that means to all of us. I'm sure the folks listening in on this will be able to see that hard work, hard work, hard work has been your quotient. The second strength is keeping that focus, keeping that aim, keeping that goal in the right direction will open up doors. And you should never settle for anything second, as you called it. That's fantastic. Okay, on the flip of the coin or the other side of the fence, what would be some things that you would change or do differently in all of these years that you have successfully accomplished?
Well, I would have paid more attention to examinations and performance assessments at school, for instance, and I would have been more sincere in my efforts through college as well. But having said that, somehow you felt, you were going overall in the right direction. I think I did have a sense of ethics and morals. There were opportunities even to get good grades with using certain other means as well. But I always told myself that I have certain standards for myself and I must follow that. So I think credibility, respect for yourself, these are all important things. And they served me well, I think, when I moved into diplomacy. And I served in all kinds of countries. Even Pakistan, I served 3 years. Yeah. So, your personal kind of habits and your mannerisms, your conduct, people watch very closely. And I think these things, in the end, did help me open doors, as we mentioned it a few times.
Fantastic, fantastic. I mean, I think to me, your patience, your humility, and making sure that you are fitting into the ecosystem to make a difference is what speaks volumes from what you're sharing with us. And it's always great to have that one point in life to say, hey, maybe if I had studied well, I could have gotten further. But if you look back, I will take a few examples from my own life in the technology industry. If you talk about Bill Gates, Microsoft founder, he did not finish college education. You can go ahead and take Larry Ellison, the CEO and founder of Oracle. He did not finish up any of his education. At the later stage, he did go back and finish school, but he was brought up in meager beginnings. Look at Facebook. He dropped out of college. So I believe that academics is definitely a great foundation. But now looking at the world of hybrid learning, globalization, YouTube has become an institution or a university by itself for practical hands-on learners, or any of the other mechanics that you can learn and receive knowledge from other people's experiences. So today you have given us such a great opportunity and a platform to think about what folks can do and achieve. Is there any last message that you would like to share with our listeners on aspiring careers in foreign services or any other avenues that you think is untapped today in your area of expertise?
I think there's a wide choice today, which is not there when we were growing up. I think you should take a serious look at all those opportunities, evaluate each one of them. But having said that, foreign service is a great career. And it's just the thought of representing your country, the responsibility that comes with it. It's awesome. And the other is to stand behind your or ahead in front of the flag or put your hand to the chest. It's difficult to describe all that, and you get to meet people and understand societies in a hybrid way. as an insider and as an outsider. If you spend 3 to 4 years in any country, I don't think you become fully an insider, but you get an insider's perspective without losing that feeling that you belong to another country and you're representing another country. So when I was in Russia, and I knew that I was representing the Indian flag, but at the same time, I was learning about Russian or Ukrainian societies in a way that very few people, tourists or businessmen, once in a while going there would never kind of understand. So I think it's a fabulous career, but don't look at it purely as a kind of glamorous kind of job because people think of cocktail parties and other kinds of things. It's like a dashboard. And there's a beehive of activity behind the dashboard. And then in front, you find everything smooth. When two leaders shake hands, the days of work would have gone behind the scenes, very low profile activity, but to make that moment very special and very successful. So I think every profession is to be respected. Every profession is worth considering, but foreign service is also a great job. So I really strongly urge you to take a serious look at joining diplomatic services of any country, including United States of America. We always respect our colleagues from other countries.
Fantastic. You gave me chills when you talked about representing the flag and raising your hand to your chest. I think it's the proud moment of that belongingness and being able to represent folks in every state, being blended into the ecosystem and understanding the cultural values of each of those people that you represent in other foreign soils. Thank you so much, Gitesh, for spending this time with us and sharing some beautiful moments, simple yet effective, thought-provoking ideas for our listeners to consider. Once again, I'd like to thank you. And listeners, it is your opportunity to carve your own next steps, listening to some of these very successful, endearing, humble, and most beautiful conversations that we're having with Career Elevations. Hope you have been able to get excited as much as I have in terms of what I will take from Gitesh's stories and anecdotes to be able to represent myself in my career and in my opportunities. So once again, thank you so much, Gitesh.
Thank you very much.